to the Associated Press.
November 29th, 1963. President Lyndon B. Johnson names a commission to investigate President John F. Kennedy's assassination in Dallas. The bipartisan panel, chaired by Chief Justice Earl Warren, becomes known as the Warren Commission. It later concludes that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone in killing Kennedy and wounding Texas Governor John Connally. 1947. The UN General Assembly passes a resolution calling for the British Mandate of Palestine to be partitioned between Jews and Arabs. Jewish leaders accept the plan, while Arab leaders do not. The State of Israel is created months later, followed by the First Arab-Israeli War. 1929. Navy Lieutenant Commander Richard E. Byrd radios that he and his co-pilot have made the first airplane flight over the South Pole. 1981. Actress Natalie Wood is found dead after a night of partying with husband Robert Wagner on the couple's yacht.
It looks like it was a drowning. She was fully clothed in a dress and a red jacket, and she was found just beneath the surface of the water.
Wood was 43. 1986.
I'm frightfully sorry, but I've got an awful shock for you.
Actor Cary Grant dies in Davenport, Iowa, at the age of 82. And in 2001, in Los Angeles, musician George Harrison, known as the Quiet Beatle, dies after a battle with cancer. He was 58. Today in history, November 29th. John Belmont, The Associated Press.
This is Across Our Wide Missouri with Bob Priddy.
The crowd had gathered on the banks of the Mississippi River that day, some of them perhaps a little fearful of what might happen if they were caught. Standing on a rock some distance out in the river was a man from Illinois. Today he talked to them of God, of salvation, and revelation. On this day in 1798, John Clark will preach the first Protestant sermon heard in what becomes Missouri. He was a courageous man claimed by the Methodists and the Baptists, sometimes called Father Clark. We'll tell his story in a minute. The Spanish...
I was just finishing my 199th picture. Never felt better in my life, and I said to myself, when this is finished, I'm going out on my boat. And then I got nagged into going for a medical checkup. They found a spot on the x-rays. It was lung cancer. If I'd waited a few more weeks, I wouldn't be here now. That's me 7 years after surgery, in true grit, because I did myself a favor and got a checkup. So why don't all of you do yourselves a favor? Get a checkup. Talk someone you like into getting a checkup. Nag someone you love into getting a checkup. And while you're at it, send a check to the American Cancer Society, too. It's great to be alive.
The Spanish Governor General of the Louisiana Territory had issued orders forbidding the preaching of Protestant faith west of the Mississippi. It fell to the man who became the last lieutenant governor of Upper Louisiana to tolerate Protestantism, Don Zenon Trudeau. He wanted settlers in Missouri, and he knew many would be Protestant, and so he put out the word that Protestant ministers could preach to the American settlers if it were done quietly and didn't cause trouble, while his leaders were in New Orleans. The Reverend John Clark began operating openly then. He'd been preaching secretly to some small groups for some time. Clark was from Scotland, 29 when he was seized with a deep conviction of sin, which caused him to seek out a backwoods settlement in South Carolina. He wrote that he went there to teach school and get religion. He got it, and he went to Georgia, where he joined a Methodist society and became convinced he was called to preach. He was licensed in 1789 and was fully ordained in 1793. It took him a year to preach his way from Georgia to Illinois, settling in the community of New Design. A friend of his from North Carolina, John Patterson, had moved to an area north of St. Louis about then. Clark visited him several times, despite an order issued in 1799 prohibiting him from even visiting the area. Steps taken to preach Protestant sermons in those days rival today's spy stories. At night he would leave his Illinois home, and he would go to a point opposite the Patterson settlement on Coldwater Creek. Someone from the settlement would row him across the river under the cover of darkness, and they would go to a cabin picked for Protestant services. And just an hour or two before daylight, Father Clark would then start sneaking home. Trudeau was aware of all of this, and he would generally wait until Clark was almost finished with his appointments then send word saying Clark should leave or be imprisoned. Clark never had any such trouble. He probably moved to Missouri about 1805, after the United States had taken control. In January of 1806, he performed the first Protestant marriage in this territory, uniting Elisha Patterson and Lucy Hubbard. He then organized the first Methodist society west of the Mississippi in the Pattersons' cabin later that year. He started with 16 members, and he preached to them in his cabin until a formal church was built about 1808 or 1809. Methodists and Baptists both used that church, and it was a Baptist influence that began to work on Clark, who came to favor baptism by immersion. Clark had apparently been baptized a Presbyterian in Scotland and had become a Methodist in America. Apparently he did not formally unite with the Baptist Church until 1816. Regardless, he's described as a man of singular simplicity of manners and unaffected piety. Several times he took trips down the Mississippi in a canoe to preach and teach, then walked back, often through hostile Indian territory and areas of coarse white men. He preached as often as possible, sought no salary. It is said he was never molested during any of his travels. He died 2 weeks before his 75th birthday in 1833, and he's buried near the Coldwater Church in which he frequently preached. On his tombstones are the words of the 37th Psalm, "Mark the perfect man, and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace." The Reverend John Clark, who preached that first Protestant sermon to Missourians while standing on that rock in the Mississippi, was born on this date, November 29th in 1758.
This episode of First Cup is brought to you by Wishing Stars Native Creations, Fine Art Today, and Marshall Woodworking. Check out these companies and many more by going to the Friends page at tinyurl.com/Gunther's House or tinyurl.com/GuntherMobile.
I need an orderly with a wheelchair. I got a robot hand grasping a man's penis out here.
Prepare for stupidity.
Pay attention to me, boy. I'm not just talking to hear my head roar.
Spit out the golf ball.
Waka waka. Who wants to hear a funny-ass joke?
That's what she said.
It's time for the Friday Funnies, and this week I have chosen for you comedian Jim Gaffigan talking about holidays.
Big holiday tradition. I love our holiday traditions, like the Christmas tree, where we go out and we chop down a tree and we put it in our living room. Kind of sounds like the behavior of a drunk man, really. Some woman wakes up, "Honey, why is there a pine tree in our living room?"
I like it. We're gonna decorate it
for Jesus. And then I'm gonna hang my socks over the fireplace. Fill them with candy. Maybe I'll tie some leaves to the ceiling, see if I can get some action. But now I gotta puke on that couch. Merry Christmas. Some people get so into Christmas they decorate their yards. It seems completely backwards. All right, chop down that tree, bring it in here. Take all these lights, put them out there. Oh, I really gotta get a job. He's anti-Christmas. Easter, that's a weird tradition. Easter, the day Jesus rose from the dead, what should we do? How about eggs? Oh, well, what does that have to do with Jesus? All right, we'll hide them. I don't follow your logic. Don't worry, there's a bunny. Ridiculous. Thanksgiving, it's like we didn't even try to come up with a tradition. The tradition is we overeat. Hey, how about Thanksgiving we just eat a lot? We do that every day. Oh, what if we eat a lot with people that annoy the hell out of us? Oh, he's anti-family. Most of us use holidays so we can eat more. You know, I normally don't have a burger, a brat, and a steak, but It is 4th of July. And I need the energy if I'm going to start blowing crap up. And that's what the founding fathers would want. My favorite holiday is Halloween, and not just because women use it as an excuse to dress like prostitutes. You ladies totally do. I'm a witch if she was a hooker. I'm Little Miss Muffet. I'm sure you are. Hey, that almost sounded dirty, fella. As a kid, Halloween was amazing. You dress like a superhero, you bang on your neighbor's door, and they give you candy. I do that today, and my neighbor wants me arrested. Probably because I make a hot cat woman. Kitty wants some candy. Remember that from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood? Meow, 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 meow. And they wonder why we do drugs. Oh, that was negative. How about those traditions, fella? Why don't you go back to that? Valentine's Day, the tradition is we give each other those big red hearts filled with the Gamble chocolate. Have you ever eaten any chocolate out of those big red hearts with any confidence? Well, this could either be really good or totally nasty. And I'm just pig enough to find out. I got the one filled with toothpaste. I'm gonna have to eat another 9 to get rid of that flavor. There's the big red hearts filled with the Gamble chocolate, or the tiny chalk heart-shaped antacids. I know I make you nauseous. Here's a Tums with Hug Me written on it. Maybe that'll help.
Where are you? I'm by the DVDs. I'm by the candles. Think I see you? No, wasn't you. Now I'm by the tools. On my way. Okay, I'm here. Now I'm by the linens.
And they're, oh, look at these guys. Hi. Hello, kids. All right. Hey. All right.
Dude, you've turned into a monster.
The Black Friday State of Mind is not just for retailers.
Marketplace Morning Report is produced in association with the University of Southern California and is supported by Mass Mutual, dedicated to helping lower-income families protect their children's education with Mass Mutual's LifeBridge program, massmutual.com.
From APM, I'm David Brancaccio from Washington today. I'll have some global perspective on business and economics in a moment. But first, is it advertising? Is it peer pressure? For whatever reason, this day after Thanksgiving in the U.S. has evolved from the day to get a jump on shopping into something larger. This mission creep involves other types of businesses glomming on to the sense that if you're going to spend money, why not today? Shannon Mullen reports.
For Black Friday shoppers who build up an appetite, a lot of restaurants now offer deals on the day, like Longhorn Steakhouse and Red Lobster. A growing number of hotels want a piece of the action, too.
Black Friday is not just a shopping day, but it's really a deal day.
Chakitan Dev teaches marketing and branding at Cornell's School of Hotel Administration.
So one of the reasons why hotels and restaurants are jumping on the Black Friday bandwagon, they're attempting to divert some of that spending from things to experiences.
Case in point, the Trump Hotel Collection is offering 30% off suites booked between Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Eric Trump is an executive vice president with the Trump Organization.
A lot of times people are tired of the knitted sweater, for lack of a better gift, and they want that weekend in Las Vegas or Chicago or New York.
Or Bloomington, Minnesota, where the Hilton has a deal for Black Friday shoppers heading to the nearby Mall of America, including a shuttle to get them there. I'm Shannon Mullen for Marketplace.
There's just been a groundbreaking for a $4 billion railway from the port of Mombasa in Kenya to the capital, Nairobi. It's the first phase of a massive rail project that could directly affect the economies of 5 East and Central African countries. The BBC's Emmanuel Igunza is in Nairobi.